everyone, this is Jane with Barlow Herbal, and happy Sunday, May 29th of 2022. Now, all I can say, if your week's been anything like my week, wow, what a week for so many reasons. So I'm going to try to unpackage this because I feel like for me, there's been so many huge epiphanies and so many, God, I don't know, downloads, moments of clarity, moments of forgiveness, moments of frustration, um, that yeah, so I've just got some ideas that I really believe that most of us, if you're alive on this planet, can relate to. So let me start with what I did last week. So middle of last week, I just kind of had a feeling, oh, I think I need to make an appointment with the girl who does energy healing. Her name is Alyssa. I saw her a ton last year. She helped me so much. And what I do is I kind of check in with her every couple of months, every 3 or 4 months at this point. And I was feeling great last week. And I just kind of had this intuition, it might be time to check in with Alyssa. So I made an appointment with her for this past Thursday. So this was a week ahead. And then all these kinds of things unfolded that have just felt heavy and dense and exhilarating sometimes and crazy. I mean, there's been all kinds of supply chain issues that I've been dealing with with my business. There have been visits from family that have been uplifting and amazing. I got a little bit under the weather this week, which took me down for a couple of days, which I believe was my body saying, you need to slow down, you need to rest. And I ended up sleeping and resting for almost 2 whole days this week on Tuesday and Wednesday. Then there was the horrible school shooting in Texas, which just felt like like this on all of our hearts, just heavy, heavy sadness that you feel you feel the denseness of the planet with that level of sadness. And it was just this week of, you know, family drama that surfaced a little bit. And, like I said, I was a little bit under the weather. And then I had my energy work on Thursday at the very end of the day. And I will tell you, by the time I got into her space and I was like, oh my goodness, my intuition never leads me wrong, because I got in there, I had this beautiful session, and at that point I was like, I really need to have some energy work done, because some of the denseness and the heaviness of especially the negative energies that I've been feeling, and I'm sure you've been feeling too, I felt like I was having the hardest time clearing them myself. So I had this beautiful energy session. I at one point while she was, you know, doing the energy work, I felt at one point that there was pixelating colors of blue and orange that were literally just coming off my body. And it just felt like almost like emotions, stuck energies were leaving me. And then the colors, and my eyes were closed. She was down apparently at that point at the down near my feet. And then the colors as they were pixelating turned solid. And it was almost like I could feel energy that was not serving me being pulled out of me. And it was really, and if you've never had anyone do Reiki, especially someone who is gifted at it and experienced and knowledgeable and truly there to help heal people, I would really suggest that you find someone if this is something that kind of feels right for you, because then it only lasted about 30 seconds. And then I could feel like an orange flame of energy just kind of rotated and settled right on my heart chakra. And it just felt warm and peaceful. And I just felt this overwhelming sense of just relaxation, positive energy, and just my heart chakra was able to just calm down and take a breather, because I really do feel there are so many things happening in the world right now. It can be like an incredibly challenging time to be a human being. And I think if we are aware of what is happening, we can take the steps to protect ourselves. And one of those things that really struck me, and I think this is so, so important right now, is think about the technology and the information that you let into your energy field. You take your smartphone, and we all have our phones with us always, right? And if you are always watching something, listening to something, and you're always watching things that confirm maybe your deepest fears, think about that for a minute. If you're always watching things that confirm what you know is happening in the world that makes you uneasy or makes you unsettled or makes you afraid or it makes you angry, and you just are so worked up about it. Here's the thing: it's not only what's on your phone, but when you're home, you have your TV, you have Netflix, you have Disney Plus, you have Hulu, you have all of these options that you can watch that literally program you. Now, the crazy thing is not only do they program you, but you pay for them to program you. You pay for all of these extra programs. You pay for Netflix, you pay for Disney Plus. And so not only are they programming us, we pay for that. And we pay for that not just with our money, but we pay for that with our very energy, our time, our mental capacity. And I think that right now it's even more of an important time than ever to disconnect ourselves from that, at least for certain parts of the day and certain chunks of time, whether that be a full day, whether that be 4 hours before you go to bed, say, all right, uh, 6 o'clock, I'm cutting off. No more. No more technology. TV, like it might be hard at first, but I think it would be amazing for your mental health and the energy. We're all energy. And because the world is in such a big shift right now, a collective shift, um, if you aren't not only aware of what's happening, but you you don't know how to handle it or have the tools, it can be a really challenging time to get through with some type of sanity. Now, the last little bit I want to share with you, because I wanted to make this just short and to the point. I watched an amazing conversation with Greg Braden and a man named John Peterson. I think it was John L. Peterson. I've actually never heard of him, but I've followed Greg Braden for a long time. He is a spiritual teacher. He's been around for a few decades. He's got many, many books. He's one of those people like that I've been following for a long time, like Bruce Lipton, Michael Singer, David Hawkins, Eckhart Tolle. There's all of these spiritual teachers that I know you and I and many of us out there have been following for a long time. And there's this one 40-minute conversation that I just ran across. And I do think that these show up in divine timing. They show up when they're supposed to. They show up in your life. And this is a very recent conversation that happened. And it was the most perfect thing for me to watch this week. And I ended up watching it 2 or 3 times because it was just like, oh my goodness, this has some powerful information in it. And one of the things that really, really, really resonated with me is toward the end of the conversation, Greg Braden says, it's not about the quantity of the rise in consciousness. So think about that statement. There is a rise in consciousness, and it's not about the quantity, because I think what happens is, and I would put myself in this category, we get so stressed out and anxious about other people not coming along on a consciousness or awakening path with us. And here's the thing, we all have our own path. And it's about loving, understanding, accepting, giving unconditional love regardless. But it's not about the quantity of the masses awakening on the same level at the same time. It's about the quality. So think about that. Think about the quality of your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, where you give your energy, where you get your energy from. And, I will tell you one of the things that really was kind of a big crazy thing for me this week is, I have a couple of very, very close people in my life that as we've gone through this transition, this last couple of years, there's been I guess a disagreement, I guess disagreement is a good way to put it, but it's walking through this. The perspectives have been very, very different. And here's the thing: the individuals that I'm talking about, they're kind, they're compassionate, they're loving, and I have found myself in situations where I get so frustrated and angry if I can't explain, if there's a conversation happening and I cannot explain my perspective to a point where they understand it. And I had this huge epiphany this week with a certain conversation and a situation that was like, do you ever watch yourself have a conversation with someone and you turn to this person that you don't recognize, but you're honest and it's not pretty and you can't stop yourself while it's happening, even though you go, okay, stop, 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 stop. You're not accomplishing anything. You're sounding like a crazy person. It's time to stop now, but you just can't. And I actually found myself saying, okay, I gotta stand up, and I gotta kind of leave this for a minute because I need to go be in another space so that I can like collect myself and not be a crazy person. And because I was having this epiphany while all this was happening, and it was like, I take down my own energy and my own ability to push out good energy and love and gratitude and all of this by rotating in these things where I think that I have to prove my point and I have to try so hard for someone to see my perspective. It was the most fascinating thing. And I, I, you know, I hope that you can relate to this because I was able to have this epiphany quickly, rein it in for a minute. I had to leave. I had to physically leave the area for just a second, for a few minutes. And then I came back and I was like immediately able to say, I'm so sorry. Like I was caught in the emotions. I, you know, I, it's a fascinating place to be because I don't feel like I'm going to ever shift back to that. I don't really feel like I'm going to ever have the need to try to convince someone to see my point on a certain thing. And I will tell you, it was amazing. Um, and then of course I have, because I'm a human being, I was just like, oh, why do I have to learn these lessons? I feel like I learn them and I have to learn them again and then I have to learn them again. And I'm like, okay, Jane, remember this lesson. When you start to have these feelings and emotions and you're triggered by something, ask yourself why you're triggered by that. And you have this knowing that people can walk through this planet and this life and all of the things that are happening to us collectively, they can have completely different perspectives and everything's going to be okay. The way humanity is going to come through this is going to be okay. And it doesn't have to all be walking exactly in the same footsteps. So I think that if any of this resonates with you, you might be going, yes, yes, yes. And I turned this on and I was thinking, if this doesn't sound right, I'm gonna redo it. But I'm not going to redo it. I'm gonna just like hope that this came together in the type of coherence that I wanted to bring across to you, because to me, this accumulation of the denseness of the energies, the horrific shooting that happened in Texas, all of the things that are happening in the world, like the gathering of the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. There was another big health organization that just formed that had a gathering in the UK last weekend. And I watched some information about that, which was on the opposite spectrum. That was like, let's come together. Let's find some ways. Let's have some transparency. Let's have some conversations. I mean, so there's all these things happening, and then I've honestly had all these issues. Like there were some big business issues, things that came on, and I was just kind of like, I can't take this anymore. Like, I don't know how I'm going to survive all this. Like, I just need a little bit of a break. And it's just been a fascinating week. So I managed to get through this to this beautiful Sunday morning. We had rain yesterday. We have this light sprinkling today. It's supposed to rain most of the day today, but and I don't know if you can hear. I have a little tiny bit of stuffiness happening still, but you have so much energy coming at you, and physically sometimes life just goes, I'm going to take you down and I'm going to have you rest. So I don't know if you can relate to any of this. If you can, drop me a comment. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Let me know you're there. And if you like this video, maybe share it with someone who's struggling, who maybe there's a nugget of this message that you think might help them. So I hope you have the most beautiful day. I hope the week ahead um, is just a brilliant one. You know, we are so lucky to be a living, breathing human and have the ability to raise the level of consciousness um, at this time. It's an incredibly challenging time to be alive, but it's an incredibly beautiful time to be here. And like I keep saying, we chose this. We're like, sign me up. I want to go. There's going to be so much learning, so much growth, so much fun if we can realize that is such um, this is the time. Why do you think there's like 7 point how many billion people that are here on the planet right now? So many souls threw their hand up and said, I volunteer. I want to go. I want to go. I want to be part of the collective that raises the consciousness at this beautiful time in humanity. So, if you can remember that, like, that gives me chills. So I hope you have a beautiful day. I hope you have a beautiful week. Stay amazing. I adore you. I love you. Tell everyone in your life that you love them. Hug them tight. And we will see you next week.